Hi, everyone. Happy Disability Pride Month. My name is Nico Meyering, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a white man with parted blonde hair, large dark glasses, a gray t-shirt, and a brown cardigan seated in front of a blurred out background. I am honored today to be joined by my longtime friend, Mariah Hillis. Mariah, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mariah. I'm a white female with brown, kind of wavy-ish shoulder-length hair, and I'm wearing a pink, multicolored kind of tank top, and I'm sitting in front of a purple blurred out background. So it's great to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mariah, what does disability pride mean to you?
Well, disability pride is, I don't know, I think that's a bit of a broad question because it's like, I think for disabled people, I think we often feel like our disability is maybe a bit of a burden or like something we need to be ashamed of in some way. But it took me a long time to figure out that that necessarily wasn't the case. So I think disability pride is just kind of being proud of the fact that you're here, you're thriving as a disabled person, and you're taking up space as a disabled person, and kind of whatever atmosphere you find yourself in, like whether that's the workplace or maybe in your family environment, like you're there and you're proud to be a disabled person. It's like I'm here and I'm allowed to be here.
We are allowed to take up space in any kind of public area in which we find ourselves. We are under no obligation to make ourselves smaller or more palatable or easier to digest, shall we say. I love this answer. Thank you, Mariah.
Oh, I kind of plucked that right off the top of my head, so I'm glad you liked it.
What is one thing that you've learned as a result of living disabled?
Well, I've learned a couple of different things. I've learned to be kind of extremely flexible and just kind of roll with it, and I can adapt to the craziest situations. I think my dad once referred to me as a MacGyver because I can kind of come up with these crazy solutions to problems nobody could even think of being a problem, and then I come up with a solution. And then, but I've also this is less. This isn't quite as this is kind of more of the sadder side of it, but it's like I've learned to be maybe not have very high expectations of certain things because there's things happen to disabled people that just kind of don't happen to able-bodied people, and so I've kind of learned to like I can be excited about something in one way, but I'm like also like don't get too excited, because if I get too excited, then something's going to happen. It's going to get canceled for whatever reason, or like, I get really sick and I can't go, or something happens. So there's kind of two sides to that.
Valid. Not every lesson that we learn is a happy one. So I thank you for your honesty. And I want to revisit something you said about finding new ways to solve problems. I really find this to be true in the interviews that I've done throughout this month, and then also just throughout my own experience, is that disabled people are very innovative and are very creative. And I think that is born from disabled people existing in spaces that just intrinsically aren't meant to be accessible to us.
Right.
And living the lives that we perhaps were never meant to live.
Yeah. I think a good example of that is I like to use my university as a good example of that, because that's kind of just the existing space I'm in often is in academia. And the school that I go to, it was built in 1907, like it was when like the first building went up. And so there's a couple of buildings on campus that were like built in like between 1907 and 1920. And so they are not very accessible buildings, just kind of by nature. And so like I know like where the underground tunnels and back exits are to some of these buildings, because I've had to give some very weird advice to people, like when because these buildings are so old, they do need to be like maintained in a way that other buildings don't. And so certain things will be locked down and closed. And people will be like, how do you get around? It's like, oh, the back exit is like around the corner. And, you know, like if you like go down this hallway that kind of looks like a morgue or something, and then
Mhm.
like hang a left and there's another exit there. It's like, how do you know that? It's like, because that's what the accessible entrance is. So yeah, I know these very strange things.
Valid, valid. I love this example. Thank you for providing it. I want to flip this question on its head now. What have you had to unlearn as a result of navigating your disabled life?
I think one thing I'm still kind of trying to unlearn is that I don't need to try to pull myself in like 1,000 different directions to kind of prove to anybody that I'm capable of achieving my goals. Like I don't need to take, 5 or 6 classes and do a whole bunch of volunteer work and do, you know, and like play in the concert band because I'm a musician and I still drag my damn clarinet all over the place. But I don't need to do all of these 1,000 things because it compromises me and my health. So I can pick and choose what I do. I can do things at a slower rate. I don't have to kind of get involved in all the activities my different people are involved in. Different people have tried to maybe push me to get involved in more political activism. I'm like, as cool as that would be, it's like I need to prioritize my grades and my physical health. If I have extra space in the middle there to maybe do a little more activism, then that's cool and I'll do it. But at the moment, I don't have time for that because I need to make sure that I can still function day to day. So I think that's something I'm still trying to unlearn.
Of course, although I see your progress and I celebrate this progress. Humans by nature are imperfect, but we can always make progress towards the people that we want to be.
Yeah.
Mariah, my last question, or at least my last planned question, is what do you want able-bodied people to know about disability life and disability experience?
Well, I think one thing I'd like people to know is like being disabled is not a bad thing.
Okay.
Like I see that sometimes, like from like maybe a parent who's learned that their kid has a disability and there's all this kind of grief and anger and sadness. And I'm like, why? I don't quite get it. I mean, in some situations I do, but like for maybe a Down syndrome diagnosis, I'm like, it's just Down syndrome. They're gonna be happy little people. I don't quite get the anger. Like my aunt has Down syndrome. She's my favorite person on the entire planet. She's just so happy. But being disabled is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's maybe inconvenient, but it's not the world's worst thing. I mean, nobody died, so I don't quite get that.
Thank you. That's a really fantastic answer. It's also a very common pattern that I've encountered in doing these videos.
Mhm.
So I agree with you that guilt, grief, or anger might be fairly reasonable initial reactions to learning that, say, your new baby is going to be disabled. But ultimately, I think maybe that might get in the way of helping that kid live and develop as a disabled person.
Right.
So
Like,
I see you in that.
yeah. One thing that I think about a little bit is like my mom's fantastic. I love her to bits. But like one thing she never fully processed was my physical disability. She got very focused on my medical problems, which made sense at the time. Like when I was little, that was a very big problem. But as I've kind of, I'm not sure if grown out of it is the right word, but as things have stabled medically for me, that's become less of a problem, but my physical disability has never gone away. And so I'm kind of in this space of trying to explain to my mom that I can't walk properly. Like
Sure.
I need mobility aids. I need these different things. That way I can just kind of function in the world properly.
Sure.
And this is kind of this weird argument that I've been having. So my dad kind of seems to made that leap a lot faster. I'm not quite sure what that was about. That was just, it seems to have never been a discussion with him. He goes, "Yep, okay, that makes sense. Okay, off we go. So we're gonna
I'm
figure out
glad
how
he
to
was
get."
an early adopter.
Yeah, my dad's interesting. He's kind of like my resident, RT, OT, like physiotherapist, a fixer of all problems. I'm not quite sure what the word is for that, but it's like he was like fixing my wheelchair and my ventilator and God knows what
Sure.
thing is gonna go wrong in the middle of the night. I mean, my dog has never eaten any of my medical equipment yet, but he's fixed everything else. When my dog eats my medical equipment, he will fix that. But so, but I mean, I think there was this kind of with my mom, there seemed to be this roadblock. I'm not quite sure what it was about, but as we're like trying to get through that, it's just kind of been an interesting process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have also had my own dog occasionally chew like some cords back when I was a kid. He would chew through the oximeter cord and do dog things, basically.
Do dog things. Yeah.
Do dog things, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't had any of that happen yet, but like there will be a day, I'm sure, where he will do something. I'm not quite sure what it'll be, but he will do
Sure.
something.
Sure, he just wants to know what's going on.
He wants to know what's going on. Yeah, when he first saw me in my wheelchair for the first time, he wasn't quite sure what to do with that because I normally walk.
Mhm.
But he saw me in it and he was like, "What do I do?" And he like stuck his head between the spokes of my wheelchair. And I'm like,
No,
"Dog, no."
that's dangerous.
I wasn't going very fast. I just got rolling around the house, but it's like, get off. Like, no, don't put your head there.
Awesome. I'm glad that that dog can be a support to you. Mariah, thank you so much for joining me today. And now this is a space where you can promote or champion any efforts, any projects, any accomplishments that you want to, or even just include social media links. This is your time to be your own cheerleader and have your own soapbox. Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, I don't have like any kind of online promotional content. I kind of used to do that more, but as I've gotten kind of more into teaching and stuff, I've kind of gotten less. I've just pulled more stuff off of social media for whatever range of reasons. Yeah, but no, I'm good. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course. I love hearing about your academic and scholarly achievements. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
You too.